Hey, how you doing? It's Clayton here from howtodrawcomics.net, and welcome to today's comic art class. Today we are here with HTD instructor Ed Foychuk, and we are going to be talking about panel flow for comic books and layout, of course.
Yep.
So, Ed, how you doing today? Are you well, my friend?
I just woke up from a nap, so I'm like feeling quite chipper and well rested.
Very
It's Sunday,
nice.
it's Sunday afternoon here, and I already did the gym thing and some work, and I was like, that bed is looking mighty cozy. I might have to revisit. And I'm old, so what the hell, man?
Well, yeah, after the gym, I'm one of those people who get less energized and more tired, like incredibly tired after a good workout.
Really?
So, yeah, I mean, maybe you're the same if you went for a nap afterwards.
It depends on the day, and depends on what time I do it. It just energy levels and stuff. I think it's more of being Sunday and just a relaxing day, man.
Hell yeah, man.
Yep.
Well,
are you up to anything exciting today? Oh, hold on. It's Monday where you're at, right?
It's Monday. So the week is just beginning for me. I had a nice big sleep in today. I've been trying to catch up on my shut eye because I just find that I'm generally in a much better mood that way. I'm less cranky, less short-tempered. Can you imagine that? Me short-tempered? It happens. It definitely happens.
Yeah, I can't really imagine that, man. You seem pretty legit usually, man.
Yeah, usually I'm a pretty chill guy. But on the inside, I get highly irritable and agitated.
So it's kind of a hangry thing. People around you can just see it growing in frustration.
Yeah, totally. I'm kind of one of those guys that are really quiet until they just snap out of nowhere one day,
Gotcha.
I'm going to say a quick hello to the chat because we have got a fair few people tuning in today. Thanks so much for being here, guys. If you like what you're seeing, please share the stream. Let's get it out there so that we can help out as many people as possible with their panel layouts in comic book illustration.
Absolutely.
All right, we got Corey Barton in the house. We've got Eddie Winkler.
Cool.
Good to see you here, man. Yeah. George Travolis, how you doing? A regular here on the HTDC live stream. We've got Hockey. Leroy, he'll be happy that we're giving him some love today. Cool. And then we've got Darren Wagner, as always, another wonderful person who always tunes in to hang out with us. K Manifesto.
I see Rick in there too.
Oh, and Rick. Hello. Hello, Rick. He's just jumped in there. It's just never the same without Rick. Then we've got Comic Dasher as well.
Cool.
Awesome to have you guys. Thanks for hanging out with us. We love the company. It's just like, well, I mean, this is a comic art class. And what's a comic art class without the students, right? So, Ed,
sometimes there's instructors in the mix too. Like I can see some people that have been, some of our instructors on the site too. So it's more not just students and instructors. I look at it as a community.
Heck yeah, man. Well, before we get into the meat of today's stream, let's talk about your course, Making Comics, and how that's been going.
Right. This today's topic is panel flow, basically, and we're going to talk about panels and stuff. And I've got some samples here, but this comes from a unit in my recent course, how to make big letters comics, right? And the course, I'm pretty impressed. It's been out a couple weeks now, and there's hundreds upon hundreds of students in it now, and I'm just like, damn, I'm almost blushing here. I'm really impressed by how many people have picked up on it and stuff, and are just enjoying it. The feedback's been great. It's a lot. Like there's a lot of meat to this course. I want to think it's at 11 hours now or something. I got to check the numbers and stuff, and there's more being added to it. I've partnered with a few other people here, and so we're going to be adding even more. There you go, Rick's. You're not supposed to say you did it 3 times, man, or you went through it 3 times. I'll go with that. It's just going really well. Like I'm really impressed by it. The purpose of the course is to kind of take some of the frustration out of somebody starting up their own project. So it's not a traditional drawing course per se, as in it's not teaching you how to draw a head or a face or anything like that. there are drawing sections in it, but they're more about composition and flow, right? And how to, so the course starts you in everything from coming up from ideas and stuff, how we come up with some of our character concepts, and then you help me with a character design unit, right?
Yep.
Flows into storytelling from thumbnailing with Jean-Claude and panel flow and everything, all panel designs, wrapping up titles, lettering into stuff like marketing that Rob the Replicator helped with and stuff. And there's just so much to this course and everything. So I thought this week I'd take a section from that course talking about panel flow, throw it up for some of the students to say, hey, let's talk about this. Let's see if you could submit some of your work and everything. And we'll just chat about what's works and what doesn't when it comes to panels.
Heck yeah, man. And absolutely, that course has done very, very well. It has almost, in a very small amount of time, made as many sales as one of your other best-selling courses on the site, How to Draw Comics Anatomy.
Yeah,
and
it's going really well.
Yeah, if you guys are interested in Ed's lineup of courses, you can hit the link in the description below. It'll take you right to his selection, where you'll be able to find how to make comics and his anatomy course, which is personally one of my favorites just because it's so insanely comprehensive. But yeah, man, it's done very well. And I guess it's one of the reasons for that is because there's not really any other course out there that covers making comics in their entirety. You know, yours is really the first one that I've seen.
Yeah, I don't think, like, I've seen some books in the past, and books are great, right? But they become outdated so easily, so quickly. So, like, for example, I've got Barry Gregory from Kablam partnered up with this for printing. And, you know, so we can have, like, the modern version of everything just updated into this course really quickly, right? So that's the good thing about going digital, is that it's all up to date right now.
Yeah, absolutely. And how long was the course again?
Geez, I'm going to look. I got it written down here, actually, just so I can give an accurate assessment of how long this course is. Sorry, I'm just kind of going through. Let's see. It is 10 hours and 20 minutes of video content.
So it's huge. It's a monster of a course. And so it should be with such a broad topic such as making comic books.
Right. And, you know, and like I said, I'm adding to it. So I wouldn't be shocked to sometime next year if it's up around 12 hours or more or something, right? There's a lot of people that I look towards their expertise, just like I tapped you for the character design thing. I looked at you as like somebody that I love how you do your process for character design. I've tapped into a number of people in their specific fields, whether it's printing, whether it's marketing, whether it's branding or whatever, and said, listen, I love how you do your thing. Can we share it with others? Right. So that's what the course is about for a large part.
So cool, man. And I think that is one of the smartest things that you could have ever done in approaching this course is finding experts in each of the many topics that you cover in the course and getting them to give their input to tell students what the real deal is. Right. And you've done that, man. And I mean, 10 hours for $10 is a monumentally good deal, I would say.
I'm hoping that it becomes like the resource that's sitting on the, where am I? Back of the bookshelf back there. It's just in your computer and you always have it as a resource, right? That you, as a reference there and you're like, you know what? I'm looking at starting this project. And before I start my project, I'm going to take some time out and just save myself some grief and look into these units or these sections that I really need to kind of refresh myself on or get stronger in and stuff. Because for an example, like let's say printing, you get yourself, your project's all done. You think it's awesome. And then you bring it to the printers and things aren't formatted right. You're going to have to go back and redo so much. And it's not just about always reformatting size, because sometimes you're going to clip a panel or something. You're going to clip some word bubble and stuff. So you're going to have to do a lot if you didn't do it right. And so that's what this course tries to do, is help you do it right from the start.
For sure, man. Right now, we're working on Co's or Descent into Madness, and part of that involves fixing up a lot of the pages that Corey had originally done for the book. One of those tasks actually includes fixing up the dimensions so that the pages fit on a proper comic book US-sized format. And you're right. It is a massive pain in the butt
Yep.
to have to go back and somehow make the artwork fit properly without cropping any of it, any of the important stuff anyway.
And without making it look stupid, like just surrounded by white or black or something like that. It just, there's a lot of work going into it that save yourself that work. And it's the same thing what we're going to talk about today, because, you know, a lot of times we'll see people post up artwork and we'll be like, oh, you know what, that looks great, but geez, if you would have changed that display of the hand, or if you would have changed the foreshortening early on in the sketch phase, this would be a better piece. But now that it's done, it's really hard to go back and change some of those problems, right? So we're going to talk about panel flow today. And listen, once you've got like your panels and you've drawn it out, it's very difficult to go back and change any panels or anything like that, right? Like you can absolutely redo it, but that's the entirety of the book, is being able to, you know, like having to change those panels. No. So get some of the storytelling right from the get-go, right? For sure. Shall we get into some of that now? Yeah, you've got a few people here who have actually sent in examples of their very own comic book layouts. Yep. And we're going to be going over those, taking a closer look, looking at what works, what doesn't work, and why, in either case, one works better than the other. Exactly. So some of these are students, some of these are just buddies and people in our group and stuff that have submitted. And I picked these pages not necessarily because they're good or bad or anything like that, but because there's some things that I want to show. This first one I'm looking at here, I want to show it because it is straight storytelling. And there's going to be a few that are like that, and I enjoy it, right? As we can see with the flow, we've got this nice, simple pattern, right? This nice, simple zigzag pattern. And that's, if you're like, let's be clear on this. We're going to talk about comic books from a Western perspective, right? English speaking, Western world type of thing, because I've lived overseas. There's lots of different ways of storytelling and you know, writing and everything like that. But we're going with the Western perspective here. And in the Western perspective, this zigzag is kind of ideal. You know, this is the easy way that how the Western eye rolls across a page from left to right, scrolls back down as if we were reading a line. You know, we do this zigzag with our eyes as we read dialogue and stuff, or read a book, right? So that's the pattern you're kind of aiming for. And let's see if I get this name right. Christophe Demarche, that's his page here. And I love it. I think he did it excellent. Like, not only did he I'm going to erase this for a quick second here and show you something else. There's some little subtle cues that he does that brings us around. So this face pointed in this direction wants to bring the eye back down here. This face pointed in this direction wants to bring the eye down into the explosion. The explosion pows us out and brings us into here, right? So this is some smart storytelling. We're going to talk about panels, but also sometimes a little bit what's in the panel that can help nudge you in certain directions. Anyways, this first one I wanted to show you was just because of the simple zigzag format, and he did a really good job with it, right? I thought it was excellent. Let's see. This one is another one. Sarar Felanio. Hard with it. Sorry, guys. And he does a similar thing here. You could see how the motion moves the eye across here, brings it here to this subject, brings it here to this subject, brings it here, brings it across, brings it here, and brings it across, right? This is as perfect, basically perfect panel storytelling as you can have. You know, like if you could have it read this easy, and we're going to get more confusing and stuff, but I'm showing these to start it off with, that if you could have it read this easy, you're making it easy on the viewer, right? Absolutely. And it can be simple. It doesn't need to be complicated and fancy. Fancy is great, but not if it is a detriment to the actual storytelling and the readability of the page. Right. And we're going to get into that. Absolutely. The other thing here that we're learning is it's not just about panel layout. It's about the actual images within those panels, the subjects, and how they're composed.
in order to help move that narrative along, help us move our eyes in the direction that they're supposed to go so that we can read that page seamlessly and actually understand what's happening.
Absolutely. And we can do that sometimes with panel design manipulation. Like let's say I'm going to come up here, and if I want to have some directional flow here, I could change this panel design to be something along this line, just this angled panel here and stuff. And what that does is it just tilts the movement just a little bit even more. So with this kind of right-leaning panel flow, it pushes the viewer even faster through that panel, right? So things like that can really help. There's panel design. We'll go into it a little bit more. I just wanted to show some examples of some straight-on panels to start with.
For sure.
Let's see. So I'm going to bounce around here because I didn't quite exactly. Here's one that I want to do. This next one is from Christy Cube. And this one I want to show. Once again, we've got a pretty simple flow here. I like it. But what I want to note is the beats. They decided to go with a 4-panel across the top. We've got this bang, 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 this divide, right? And it coincides with the storytelling beats. We've got ka-ching, 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 that type of thing, right? And so what they've done with this storytelling here is they've slowed the viewer down. If you were to take a panel, any panel, and all of a sudden start splitting it like that or something, you've now slowed down the flow of the reader. The reader starts to hit a certain beat and a certain tempo as they're going through this, right? And I talk about this in my course a lot, both in panel flow, and I've got another unit called just the beats, right? And there's storytelling beats that you want to hit. That's a little bit different. That's like the key topics and stuff like that. But to me, this is almost like music beats, right? As we go through, we can hear boom, 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 boom. And you can tempo the music beats just like you would the beats of a soundtrack for a movie. There could be the boom, 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 and it builds up or something like that, right? And so what you could do exactly here is they've got the tempo of the beat, ka-ching, ka-ching, ka. Ooh, sorry. Gonna bring that back up. Yeah, never mind that. They've got this ka-ching, 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 and it's just nice. It bounces the viewer over, right? And then so there's bounce, bounce, bounce. It goes fast through here, bounce, bounce, bounce type of thing, right?
Yeah. You
get to really have a lot of power over how slow the viewer views the page. I think there's I can't remember. There was some study that said the average comic book is viewed like 3 seconds per page or something stupid. And, it takes us 20 hours per page or whatever and stuff like that. But this type of manipulation that we're looking at here can be used sparingly, right? But to slow down the viewer. You can slow them down and create the tempo you want in your storytelling just by the beats, right?
Absolutely. And pacing is so important. They use it in movies all the time.
Absolutely.
Right. And you know what? A comic book is not all that unlike a movie sometimes. You're still looking at a sequential narrative that's happening in front of you, and it's going to cause you to feel certain ways to increase the intensity of the situation that's happening when you're able to get your panels divided up and sized up even in this way.
Yeah. So imagine that if we've got, we're designing panels, we've got a long panel. That's exactly how it's going to be viewed. The viewer's eye is just going to stretch across it and then move back or whatever. If we've got a series of short boxes, right, or tall boxes, even thinner, it's going to hit a certain way. We're going to hit these beats like bang, 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 bang. This rapid fire feeling. So imagine this rapid fire buildup. It's bang, 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 bang. And then we come down into a massive explosion or something, right? We've got bang, 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 spins us down here, and we spin out in this massive explosion panel or something.
Yeah.
This is a manipulation of that speed and tempo that you can use with the panel flow, right? By having different shapes and such to the panels to kind of either speed up or slow down the eye. You can do the same thing with, let's see if I change colors here, word bubbles. If we look at this panel here and we've got one word bubble, it'll slow down, it'll have the eye that slow. But if we've got a series of word bubbles, now we just change the beats on this one panel. This panel went from a free flow to a 6-beat panel, right? It slowed down the eye that much, right?
Absolutely. And, this is fantastic for manipulating the perception of time within a comic book, passing time as the reader observes what's happening in each one of these panels, what's happening on the page. So it's pretty cool stuff. It's a great tool to utilize.
What can get weird, though, is so we've got this passage of time, and the time flows really nicely across the board here, and we can see how time flows in these panels and stuff. What gets strange, and this is what bothers a lot of people, is when we have a giant splash with a bunch of word bubbles all over. Because in the viewer's mind, this giant splash is kind of happening simultaneously. It's just bang, it's this snapshot of what's going on right then, right? And you can see a lot of people complain about something like this big splash page or something, or this big splash panel that has way too many bubbles through it and stuff, right? So watch out how you can get conflicting messages or tempo messages and beat messages by basically having a big one action shot yet it slows down the viewer's mind to read all of these word bubbles and stuff, right? It confuses them sometimes, right?
For sure. Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, let's see. I've got some more here if I want to go on. Not that one. I'm going to say this. This one's good enough. This one's by Jornier Mark. Sorry, says Jornier. It's a funky name. My bad. And what do you think of this one, Clayton? Any thoughts on it so far?
Yeah, I mean, I don't mind this one. I think that you've got the top panel, which works quite well, and then the second panel. And then, this, in comparison to the previous two that we looked at, has a slightly more complex flow to it as far as the panel layout is concerned. And that's because when we get to those third and fourth panels, they're stacked on top of one another. It's not necessarily as clear which one you should be looking at first, but my logic would tell me to go to the panel sitting on top.
Yeah, so, readability, this flows here like this type of thing, right? I think I was reading some studies about when we, and I'm going to come back over here and say when we have, say, panels like this, what's the order? Is it 1, 2, 3, or is it 1, 2, 3? There's some confusion that happens with these kind of stacks, right?
For sure.
There were some studies done, and I believe it was 80% of viewers head this direction first.
Yeah.
If these two are the exact same size. If this one is shorter, it can flow different. Or if this one is taller, then it increases to 95% or something along those lines, right?
Okay.
So the sizing of the panels determine it, but generally speaking, they'll move this way because they want to kind of progress this way to be able to move back down this way.
As a natural tendency. Yeah.
Is there more happening going on this way, or is this just the entirety of the page? That can also confuse the viewer as well, right? So there's a few things that happen there. To eliminate this, you can bump this even more, and that might help nudge the viewer in this direction, right?
For sure, yeah.
Let's go back to, where was it? Let's see if I could find her again. Nope. Sorry, guys. There we go. There's also something that they use here, a panel break. You can see this head is breaking into P1. So what that automatically does is pull you into that panel break. Like if this head was here breaking into this panel, then we'd get pulled in this direction.
Yeah. So that head is kind of the connecting point, the link between those two panels.
Definitely. For both good and bad here. I don't know if I'm always loving it, like, because our flow wants to bring us this way, but it's kind of bringing me this way. I don't know. It's not a huge thing, but this is so up and down and so breaking right here. I kind of wish there was something breaking here. Anyways, it's not a huge thing. It's the layout they've chosen. And then they break this panel here, move you into this direction. And so that's another way you can determine it. So
yeah, for sure.
We're just looking at this and we're saying, hey, we weren't sure. We've got a panel here. We've got a panel here. This one's actually taller. It could be some confusion. Well, this break brought us here, and this break.
Yeah. Okay. I see what's going on.
Moves us here.
Look, I wonder as well, just as a general philosophy when it comes to layout and sizing up your panels, how well exactly completely square-looking panels work. Because to me, they look too structured in a sense, like very mathematically correct. In the same way that...
Here they don't, though. Look at how great this looks.
That does look great, and it works fairly well. But still, I wonder if they were slightly more rectangular, whether that be in width or be in height, whether or not that would be more aesthetically pleasing.
Yeah, good point.
Do you know what I mean?
Oh, totally. This square is a little funky. There's something else going on that bothers me about this square, but I see what you're feeling. It's just like, it's somewhat a stylistic choice, depending on how you storytelling, but this square seems very blockish, and you're kind of locked into it. You know, I like what you were saying about the rectangles. They kind of lead you in or can lead you out or drag you along or something like that, right?
Yeah, they somehow create a level of context and feeling to them that is just a little bit more than what a square can give you.
Like here. Yeah, we see this here. We've got the figures all down here, the dialogue on top of them and stuff. It does feel different. It's not the only square here is maybe this. This is probably more of a square like this or whatever. But yeah, they're not using a lot of squares here. It's more rectangles that drag you through the panel, right?
Absolutely.
Yep, good point. Something else that bothers me here is this. The horizon line angle. The reason I'm kind of bothered by this a little bit is I think there's things that we nudge people with for their eyes, and there's things that can slow people down, right? Like we were talking before, a panel break can nudge you in this direction, right? A lot of dialogue bubbles or word bubbles can kind of slow you down or speed you up. A bunch of panels in a row can speed up a tempo or whatever it is, right? Or manipulate the tempo. I also think that directional flow within the panel, even the horizon line, can speed up or slow down the viewer as they move through it. Remember how I talked about like a panel could be formatted like this, and this right leaning angle can kind of force the viewer to go through a little bit faster, right?
Yeah.
I feel like we're hitting this one and we're almost bouncing back. This, the way that the horizon blocks us, it doesn't keep us flat and moving. It doesn't keep us moving kind of forward through the page or anything like that. We hit this horizon line, and I'm getting really ugly here. Hit this horizon line, and it kind of just is like a bit of a wall. Now that might be intentional.
Yeah, I get what you're saying,
but it might not be. You know, they might, sometimes people just tilt angles to say, this looks cool and everything like that. But
it's sort of strange. Because I was going to point that out, and I know that it extends a little bit more beyond the panel layout here, but I do feel as though up until this panel, every shot that we see is fairly, straight on, flat, kind of generic. And look, I mean, it's a fairly generic situation that is happening. At least that's what I'm getting from the narrative here. And then you look at that third panel, and it's kind of like it's tilted, and all of a sudden the mood is changed. The context seems to be different. But then in the fourth panel, the fourth and final panel, we're back to that straight back shot with an eye level camera. And so it's like, why was there a need to tilt the camera in that way on that third panel? What was that giving to the story?
That's my wondering too. Like I can't, like, we're not reading these stories, like as in I'm not reading dialogue. I don't really care. Some of them are in different languages. That's not the point. The point is, even without dialogue, right? Like can we just sit and understand the story? Yes, she was shopping. She walked. There's an elevator. She greets somebody at the elevator. Why tilt that one panel? What did it add to this story, right? Like, is it warping? Is it something weird as she meets this person? And if so, why wasn't it conveyed in the next panel or something? Like, yeah. So like I said, we're talking about panel flow and dragging the eye and stuff. And my eye is hitting some resistance here for a few reasons on this one. And so makes me
totally,
wonder.
man.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah. All right, let's see what else we've got here for pages. We've done this one. Oh, Philip. You remember Philip? One of your students from a while back.
I remember Philip. Yeah, he's a driven dude. I'll give him that.
Yes, he is. Yeah. So he submitted this. And
okay, cool.
I remember Philip's work from a year ago or more or something like that. Yeah, I remember him doing a lot of work and really trying, right? And so I'm not going to focus on the art here or anything like that. That's not what this is about. This is about panel flow and storytelling and stuff, right? We can see Philip went from here. I'm going to focus on the butt. Here to the head. Here, 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 here. Good job. You've got the basic down. I think he's got some basic flow down in the storytelling. It works. I think it's basics, but it works, right? Like if you can just bring the eye across the page, you've succeeded in at least that step, right?
Yeah. And you know, we get this question a lot. People asking about panel layouts.
Down in the chat here, guys. I don't know. Corey's asking about reading the chat and stuff. So I don't know.
Yeah, don't worry about Corey. Sometimes he's just trolling. But yeah, the reason that we're not reading the chat as much today is just because we're going through a lesson. And you know, we've got a lot of really wonderful people in here, which is absolutely awesome.
Yeah, I'm not sure if something's going on in the chat. Just like whatever.
Who knows? Who knows? Don't let it distract you too much. Sometimes the chat is just talking to one another, taking their own direction.
Yeah.
And don't worry, I notice all of you, and I love all of you. You know I do. You're amazing. You're amazing. It's kind of like students talking in the classroom.
Yeah, right. Without me having to listen to them.
Exactly. You've got some earmuffs on, you know, blocking out their voices.
You know what? I should have been paying more attention just in case there was any questions or anything like that about any of the pages that I'm going through. So, guys, I'll take a look more at the chat and stuff. It's all good.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so going back to Phillips here.
Yeah.
The thing that I am going to kind of mention to him, though, just because of the flow, is this directional switch. This is, I'm presuming it's the same character and stuff, right? And he's entering a room, then he's exiting a room, like he's entering left, exiting right, entering another room. There's a lot of confusion about the actual storytelling here, right? So although the eye is led correctly, the storytelling itself is not clear, right? So like I like his panel flow and the focus flow, but the actual storytelling within those panels, it needs some work.
No, I totally get that. And what I was saying before is when it comes to, you know, answering that question that comes up so much, people asking about panel layouts, you know, how do I approach it? As a base level, this is the perfect way to start out. Totally. Right, because you're not going to go wrong. Split your page up into into thirds.
Yep.
And divide those thirds up, and you'll be pretty much good to go. Just try to make sure that the images you're placing within those panels help to direct the viewer's eye from one to the next. But even then, it is a natural tendency for us to travel from the left to the right-hand side of the page as we're reading.
Yep. So I think the, you know, very common, oh, this is an ugly page. Sorry, I'll make a new one here. Let's see. I'll go down to my formatted one. Here we go. So a traditional one that everybody would be familiar would be, like you just said, divide the page, and then, you know, we could do a 9-panel page, right? And look at the tempo that you're creating by this 9 panels, right? It's the beats are very simple. Boom, 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 boom. You know, like the panels are the exact same size, exact same shape. And so the reader, unless manipulated otherwise, is going to follow that exact same tempo through those panels.
Yep.
But what if you mess
Exactly.
with it a little bit and all of a sudden this panel has this much dialogue, this panel has this much dialogue, and this panel has this much dialogue? What have you done now? You've created a certain beat.
Yep.
You know, I mean, you've messed with the beats of that page, right? So the panel design and, you know, number of the panels affects the tempo, the speed, the beat, all that kind of stuff. But then you can start to manipulate it by what's inside. And so that's what we ran up into with Philip, was his pure design was really pretty basic. You know, what did he do? He had one panel, another panel, I can't remember, another panel, another panel, another panel, another panel. And so basically, what is this? We're just going to go 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, right? And that would be a very, very basic page. And
it would be, yeah.
He, you know, he messed with it with some of the content inside and everything, right? So that messed.
Yeah, for sure. And look, the thing is those layouts can be a little bit boring and very, very old school. They still work though. That's the thing.
Look at this page, how well this page works. Like,
it reads well.
You do not get much better than this, in my opinion. You know, like, I think that it's a well done page, right? Like the flow of it, like I was saying earlier, this flow is perfect. Like I enjoy all of this page.
For sure, man. Exactly. And, you know, that is the main goal at the end of the day, is to ensure that your story reads well and hopefully to make it look good along the way.
Sure. Okay, so let's go to a little bit tougher ones. This one, actually, yeah, this one's good. This one is from Victor Rufino. He's a regular in the group and stuff. Actually, I don't even think this one's tougher.
This is a beautiful piece, by the way.
Right, I love the cars. We've got this focus, brings us across here. It's a G.I. Joe page, brings us across here. I like this look, brings us back. Now, this is where it gets a little bit of confusion because we're here, right? We're here in this panel. We come here. The gunshots are shooting us here. I'm presuming, actually, I kind of like this action brings us back up to here. So it brings us here, here, here. That's the eye pattern that we're supposed to follow, right? So let's see if we can do this one more time, just for the peanut gallery, right? Here, 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 and off the page.
Yeah,
actually, off the page this way. I even like that. And so what did he do? He used certain cues. Here's the gunshots, brings us here, right? The eye looking back, the flip bringing us to here, right? The arm pushing us down here. Destro's rocket launching us onto the next page. There was a lot of really smart things that Victor did here. And so Victor, I'm loving it, man. It's for what should be, how many panels? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Insane.
10 panels with some full bleed, you know, bleeding off the page and some not. Like, this should be a massive shit show, but Victor really pulled it off.
He did indeed. He did a great job here. And the other thing that I was going to point out, what was I going to say now? I forgot. I forgot my train of thought, actually.
That's okay.
But yeah, just really, really great stuff. And I love the fact that it's emerging between the panel layouts and where they're positioned on the page, how they're sized up, but also the images inside them that really help to tell the story. You've got to remember that it involves both, that you can't have one without the other. And if you do, it's going to substantially decrease the amount of flow that your page has to it. So just try to keep that in mind. And it doesn't mean that you have to completely change what you had in mind visually for the book. I mean, the way you position your characters shouldn't necessarily just be to make that page more readable. But if you can use them to aid the readability,
Right.
well, that never hurts either. That's
Well,
definitely something we want to encourage.
this could have been just a straight-on headshot, with the dude looking this way, right?
Exactly, yeah.
That would have been a really easy shot. But he angled it and put the eye looking back, and that changed it entirely to be more readable, to work better within this page.
Mhm.
Right?
For sure.
I go over in our course. I've also got about a lot of examples of this type of storytelling and stuff, samples that have been sent in to us in the course and stuff like that are just like, hey, this is what works and this doesn't. So, the course isn't just about like, this is what to do. Sometimes there's examples like, this is what works, this is what sort of works, and this one doesn't work quite as much. So there's a lot of panel work that I go over and discuss and give feedback on for the course as well. So it's awesome stuff. Yeah,
absolutely, man.
Rob's in the house. I just saw him pop in.
Yeah, Rob the Replicator.
Right.
There's a lot of people here, actually, man. We've got a ton of viewers for this stream.
Awesome.
So panel layout is a popular topic, a popular problem that a lot of us run into, unfortunately, even myself.
It is. And, I'm so guilty of just laying it out nice and simple, right? Like just putting it out. I grew up on Snoopy and Garfield and all those kind of things that it's just like, the Sunday morning comic books and everything. So my default is simple, and I get that, but my inspiration is like McFarlane and stuff like that, where he would, he'd start out with a giant panel with Spidey's foot coming out, leading us into, and his webbing coming down this way, leading us into this panel. And then, so there's a lot of room to play, a lot of room for excitement, right?
Yeah, definitely, man. And, in the 90s, there were a lot of artists who were innovating the layout of paneling on their comic book pages. And they were looking at the audience's reaction. Now, sometimes those pages were extremely difficult to read. No question about it. They were confusing to look at. But some of them worked really, really well. And I think that when you start to break and bend the rules, those limitations that you've got, those boundaries that you'd normally set for yourself become blurry. And so it's really easy to take it too far into a territory that maybe isn't working for you, that's doing more bad than good. Sure. So if you are going to play on that level, you've got to be very, very wary as to as to the decisions you're making, because you can very easily start to mess things up. It becomes easier to do that than just sticking with that, that 6-panel layout on a page. As boring as it is, it still works. We can't argue with that.
Definitely. Yep. This guy, who is this? This is Derek Clay. He decided to do something very different. So just so we're kind of clear, because it's maybe not always visible to everybody watching, we've got panel 1, panel 2, 3, 4, 5. Right? Okay. And he divided it with some kind of oozy smoke effect or goo. I don't know what it is, but let's go with some type of water or something like that. So how do we number it, or how would the flow go? Here, 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 and then off the page, right? I think he did okay with it. My first time looking at it, I got to admit, I was slightly confused, but I'm a simple dude. We've already discussed that, right? But now that I'm looking at it more, I know what confused me. We've got, within the panels, we're focused this way, and that's fine. It could lead us into here. This one leads us here, but this one leads me down to here. And that's what pisses me off, because this one also leads me down here. I never know how to get to P4. Logically, I should bounce over, but there's nothing here that's drawing my eye over into P4. Both of them lead me into P5.
Nice.
So there's my problem with it, is that I think that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 could flow nicely, but instead I've got 1, 2, 3 down to 4, up to 5.
Yeah.
No, that doesn't make sense.
Totally.
He within that panel, he's led me the wrong direction. Right.
Unfortunately, yeah. And look, artistically, the composition is cool, and it definitely works in that way, but not necessarily for a comic book page.
Yeah, like maybe as a poster, especially this bottom section here, as a poster would really work, like kind of that surrounded by the history of the character or the montage thing, and it can all kind of work. But as a flow on a page, it's getting blocked up a little bit.
Absolutely. Yeah, for sure. No, the chat is really going off today, Ed. And don't worry, I see you guys there. I'm not embarrassed by you.
Well, I'm liking that everybody's, like I said, when we started this, what did I say? It's a community, right? So like having our little community, having fun and everything like that, I think it's cool.
Exactly. So don't worry, chat. We love you, and thank you so much for being here. You're great, Corey. You're a big troll. But you're my bro, so you know what they say, you can choose your friends, but you can't choose your family.
Right. Here's another page by Richard Boom, and Richard gave me a whole bunch of them to take a look at, but I only grabbed this one. Some of his other ones are much stronger than this, I'm going to say. But this one confused me, so that's why I kind of grabbed it, right?
This is a hardcore one.
Yeah, just from looking at it right now, it looks beautiful, right? Like I'm like, wow, this is a beautiful looking page, right? Like there's so much going on. He's put a lot of work into it and all that. But what's the panel flow? Where's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6? Where am I going? So I'm going to presume, well, this is a different character, right? So I'm going to presume I'm starting here. And is my focus here on these or this obscured kind of character in the back? I'm not quite sure. But I'm here, right? This is P1. This is P1 here. And then the easy way to think of it would be kind of coming this way. It's really hard to track which way I'm supposed to go. Am I supposed to go more like this way? Each one of these tells a story?
Yeah, something makes me wonder if this is supposed to be read in a sequential manner. It may be that actually this is just a montage of past events that have happened.
I thought so too, except for this. Look at this. This strikes me as as a storytelling mechanism, right? And her fighting here strikes me as storytelling as well.
Yeah,
so absolutely. So this is where, and this was submitted as sequential storytelling panel flow, right? So it was submitted as a page. It wasn't submitted as a pinup or anything like that. And Rob just said, put that quote up because that's exactly my feelings on it. Looks dope, in my opinion. Impossible to read, but cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that summarizes this page. Is like, it looks cool, and in theory, I bet you the artist has a way to read this. I bet you the artist has like, oh no, it's very clear. It's 1, 2, 3, 4. Or maybe, like sometimes as artists, we get things in our head and like, this should be super clear, but it didn't come out clear. And, like I said, I picked this page because it was one of the more difficult of Richard's work to read and stuff like that. His storytelling isn't normally like this. Like he's got some stronger storytelling pages, but this had so much impact to the page, but was so difficult to read, right?
Exactly. And honestly, this is why it's so important to make sure that you show your pages to other people, whether it be friends, families, your family, or just posting it into the How to Draw Comics group on Facebook, because even though something makes sense to you, and oftentimes it does when it's coming from you, it may not be the case for other people, outsiders who haven't been working with it as closely as you have. So just make sure that you do that. Bounce your ideas off of other people and get that second set of eyes on your work, because it can do wonders for you. And you really don't want to have people asking questions like the questions we're asking for
Right.
this
And
page.
in the comments I can read, some people are like, what if it's all happening simultaneously? What is all this? And that can actually happen. Like, as a page, what would be kind of cool is here you have a cast of characters doing their thing, and then the panel shows their thing. It could either be a historical panel, it could be the current battle that they're in or whatever. But that's not what happened here. And I could see hockey.
Yep.
The problem is this is sequential storytelling.
Yeah.
And so if that was the theory, this breaks it, right? There is some sequential storytelling that's going on here and stuff, right? So yeah, I think having, a big action scene twisting up here and then individual shots playing out as so this character punches this character and, Jubilee is jumping this way, Colossus is doing this, like each character being highlighted and stuff. Mm-hmm. Cool. But that's not what's going on. At least that's not the readability of what's happening here, right?
Absolutely. We got a few people asking, actually, how would we approach a situation that is happening simultaneously, laying out panels that are all happening at once?
Actually, you know what? I'm going to riff off of this page, and I would do that exact same thing. Let's say I had the X-Men battling here, right? I would take something like this design, whatever it is, and then do the storytelling off of that. And you could kind of see like, one character punches, the other character punches back or whatever. You can riff it this way, and it would be like this webbing that's coming off, and then have this last panel that leaves us off the page or something like that. You could do something like that. Like,
absolutely.
The whole thing about if everything's happening all at once, then all it is one shot. Mm-hmm. Oh, okay. Or what you could actually do is take this one shot and divide it into panels. Just have breaks within this one shot as well, right? That's another way to do it. I've seen a big splash just divided up into panels and stuff. Right? So
heck yeah.
It's all interconnected. It's all happening at once. It's just you get panel breaks within that splash.
Absolutely. And one thing I've done in the past is I've had this scene where we've got a guy who's remembering what happened in past events to, him and a buddy. And so what I did was I put the guy in the front and then these panels in the background behind the guy, and basically let the sequence of events, his memories, unfold in those panels. But the other addition to that, to make sure people knew what was happening, is I made sure that I kept the coloring consistent on those background panels so that there was a difference between the present, him, and then the past that was happening in the background as he remembered it. So, your colors can even help to tell the story.
Totally. So
yeah, pretty much. That's exactly. Yeah.
Right. Here's the present, and then the past is all behind in a different tonal value or color or whatever it is and stuff like that. Right.
Exactly.
Yeah. You can do something like that. Yeah. It makes sense. Right. I go over a lot of this. All this stuff we're kind of discussing in this chat is discussed in the course, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
The course over 10 hours long, and talk about panel flow, panel design, how that can manipulate it, the different thickness of the panels, all that kind of stuff. The tempo beats, how we can manipulate the beats and stuff like that. I might possibly rap a little bit to the beat. We'll see. There's a whole lot of things that are going on in there. Let's see. Do I have any more? I think we're almost done for today.
Yeah, for sure, man.
Here. Yeah.
I mean, look, we've covered a lot of ground today, and you've done an excellent job. I learned a few things there, Ed, that I hadn't considered before. And I think that this is why it's so important to do a video like this, because you don't see panel layout being discussed often, even on YouTube. There's a few videos out there, I'm sure, but man, the information I've got today is so freaking valuable that, I'm going to be remembering it. I'm going to be using it. So I hope you guys are indeed taking notes in the chat, those of you who are interested in making comic books, because this stuff is just invaluable. Ed knows what he's talking about.
Yeah, like when I think of how much we covered today, everything from, you know,
Amazing.
a basic, you know, 9-panel layout of a page, getting into panel breaks, both with figures and with word bubbles and stuff like that. Actually, I'm going to just quickly review. Let's take a quick look, because we talked about some of the basics of a page, how well they do it, but then how we can start to manipulate things by figure direction within the panel, right? You know, looking down. This was done really well here on this page by Victor, right? We also talked about breaks with both the figure and captions or word bubbles and stuff, right? We talked about how there can be stoppages, weird stoppages, both within a panel, and how, and we talked about the stoppage sometimes, like the confusion between, you know, which directional flow it can go, and how we can prevent that by, you know, sizing of the panels and stuff. So we talked about panel sizes and stuff, right?
Absolutely.
We talked about how a splash might look good and can be great, but when you're storytelling off of it, you have to be very, very aware of, you know, which way things, sorry, I'm going to switch, which way things are directed for the flow, right? And how you can have a stoppage, a blockage, even though it looks great as a poster, doesn't necessarily work as a page, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So there's lots of cool things we went over today, I think. I'm actually kind of impressed by it. This was just a bunch of, like I said, samples submitted from our group, from some of my students. And I'm loving it. There was lots to learn. And the thing is, I want to be very clear on this. When we say that there's a problem here, that doesn't mean that that artist is good or bad. Some, you know, I've got a lot of pages with problems and stuff. It's just saying, well, let's look at these problems. How could we have done better? And how can we address it for next one, right?
Yeah, man, same here. I mean, look, the thing that we've all got to understand as aspiring comic book artists who are all in this together is there's something new to learn every single day. You haven't ever made it. And the moment that you do think you've made it, the moment you believe you've made it, is the moment you're going to stop getting better. So that's why we make these lessons. And I'd love to do more of them with you, Ed. I think you're an excellent teacher, and it was wonderful to see you teach in action today.
Yeah, that was cool. You know, and like, I really appreciate all the comments, even though some of them were off topic. Like Darren here is, you know, he's hyping my course and everything. I appreciate that support from, even though the chat got funny, there's still a lot of love in that chat and from our group and everything. A lot of support from these guys. Half the people in this chat have already been in my course and everything. So I think that's why there's so much joking around, because they're like, yeah, I'm already in it. So let's have some fun and everything, right? But this course is blowing up. You know, I'm really impressed by how many people have joined it and are now using it as a resource. Oh, I think I lost Clayton. No, he's back. Here we go.
I had to cough. I got a little tickle in my throat.
It's all good.
But yeah, you know, the chat was great today. You know, usually when we're doing these lessons, if I'm focused on more than one thing at once, I completely, you know, short circuit. So that's why I wasn't as attentive today on the chat, and probably why Ed was focused more on his teaching as well. So, you know, some streams are looser than others, but it's good to see that the chat entertained itself nonetheless.
And Slick Rick, just so you know, I'm Canadian. He was asking, and yeah, I'm from Western Canada.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Look, Ed, you're one of our best instructors on HTDC, and probably one who has the most courses. So, again, everybody, if you're interested, especially beginners, but anybody, if you're interested in really leveling up your comic art skill set, hit the link in the description below. Check out Ed's selection of courses. He's got a fantastic series for kids, younger people who are interested in getting into comic book art as well, which is amazing. I haven't ever seen a course collection like that before either. You know, oftentimes the courses that are out there are aimed at, you know, not even amateurs, but people who already have experience under their
Yeah.
belt. So
Yeah.
that's one of my favorite series that you've actually done up, Ed. But especially the Making Comics. Check it out, everybody. You're not going to regret it. I mean, it's $10 for 10 hours. You can't beat that.
I know, like for a deal off our website, it's, on other sites, it's $30, $40 and stuff like that. But on howtodrawcomics.net, $10. And, I think it's a steal, especially like just to have it as a resource so that when you're starting that next project, you're like, okay, listen, I need this now and stuff like that. So I would grab it, keep it there, and just start tapping into it. You might not be able to tackle 10 hours today or anything, but you could take, each unit is anywhere from 10 minutes to 30 minutes or something like that. You can just tackle a unit here and there, and then it'll be much like this chat was. It's just a great resource that you always have.
And again, not just by Ed, but specialized instructors who are experts in their own field.
Right.
I thought that was one of the smartest things you've done, Ed. I'm totally jealous and envious that you came up with it before me, but it's certainly something that I know you're going to integrate into your future courses simply because it works so well.
It did. I was really impressed by partnering with people, yourself, Rob the Replicator, Barry Gregory from Kablam. There's so many people that I partnered with that I'm like, I want to partner with more. I see a couple small little holes in that course that I want to fill. Because this went from a drawing course into kind of a project management course, right? Like something much bigger of how to organize your comic book as it's going through. Darren, I really appreciate that, man. I hope for $10 that it was like totally worth it, man. Like, and that you keep it as a reference point to keep going back to, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And the other thing I was going to say earlier actually is the one thing I love about your courses, Ed, is you're always adding to them, which means once I've bought your course,
yeah,
I have that one-time investment, and then you keep on giving, you keep on expanding upon that course. And I know that the anatomy course is one of my favorites for that reason, because you just kept adding more and more to that thing.
Yeah, I think it started at like 3 hours or something, and now it's almost 7, maybe. Or, like it's grown, and it's just once you purchase it, it's all free content. So when I update it, when I do a big update, I'll do a mail out depending on what platform they're on or anything, and I'll just say, hey, you already bought it. Here's another couple hours of content, so you can come learn some new things, maybe refresh some old stuff, and it's all just added on to that value you already grabbed it for.
Hell yeah, man. And who knows, maybe Making Comics will double in size as well, and it'll be ridiculously big.
It wouldn't shock me at all. I've already reached out to a few experts that I've seen in various parts of, like I said, kind of comics, but also project management, and saying, well, how can I add to this? How can I add value to the students, the experience here and stuff? And I'm seeing a lot of potential for growth in this course. So even if you grab it now for $10, chances are there's going to be more content, and not chances are, I've already recorded some. So like, I know that it's coming and everything, right?
Oh yeah, man. I can't wait. All right. Well, we'll wrap it up there for today, I think, guys. Thanks so much for watching. Ed, always a pleasure, man. If any of you out there at all have friends or family that want to learn the process for creating a comic book, or just to learn how to lay out their comic book pages better, please like, subscribe, and share this video on your social media and help to get it out there. Your friends and family will thank you for it. Until next time, keep on creating, keep on drawing, and we'll see you in the next video.
See you guys.